Well, hey, everybody, welcome to the very first Buttercupp podcast.
Hello.
What do you think?
So exciting.
Is it so
This
fun?
is like a reboot. We did temporarily have a podcast, and then like COVID was just too crazy, and it was too much.
That was pre-Buttercupp.
No. Well, we did have one then.
Yeah.
But then we did one briefly for Buttercupp.
Oh, that is true.
Yeah.
We did.
And it was just a crazy time. And
Yeah.
now things have settled down a little bit, and we're ready for a reboot.
Yeah, so here's a little bit why, a backstory, I guess, or reason why we wanted to do a podcast as well. Because we have a lot of wonderful friends and a lot of people that we get to meet through this business that ask us a lot of questions about running a business and how we got into candles and all these different questions. And we're obviously doing our YouTube show, which is a little bit of like a peek behind the curtain. And obviously the goal of that is just to get to know us more and us to be able to interact with our friends and people that love Buttercupp. But the podcast, we really wanted to be able to go deeper and talk about our business in depth and in detail and talk about the struggles and the things that we deal with, that we've had to overcome. And, it's running a business. When you have running a business is kind of like Instagram's highlight reel, which you see. Obviously, we're very thankful for the 3 locations, and that's because of you being a part of our community and loving Buttercupp and enjoying the products that we make. But it's not all shiny and wonderful.
No.
Right?
No, it is not.
Some days we get stressed out.
Most days.
Right. Exactly.
Every day.
Yeah.
No, but also too, just a little bit about us is this is not our first rodeo. I had a photography studio for 13 years. You have
I ran a construction company, consulting company, which I still have, but not. Buttercupp takes up my
I know.
brunt of my time.
And then we had our little store with all kind of local makers, handmade products.
You used to have a wedding business.
I did. That's right. I sold wedding invitations.
That was the first business.
Probably babysitting was my first.
Well,
yeah. So, I think even going back to then, I've always done something to make money. And so I think this is not new for us. And so I think some people look at our success and they think, oh, holy cow, they just really hit, the jackpot with their business. They just took off. And really we are being catapulted forward by our previous failures.
Yeah, by previous failures, by the team we currently have.
Yes, but previous successes. It's like what worked, what didn't work, and how can we move forward with those ideas? Yeah,
one of my favorite books is John Maxwell's book. It says, sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. We've had so many of those learn moments that feel like losses, but you learn. And also I think a really big thing when it comes to being an entrepreneur is like and a lot of people don't connect the dots with this sometimes, but it's that we've been married 26 years. We've been entrepreneurs for that whole entire time. Even talked about stuff when we were dating, of just dreaming about businesses, and we're just kind of wired that way. And we've kind of always done our thing, and so our thing was never photography. Our thing never was construction. Our thing never was candles. And our thing never was having a little store. Our thing has always been to create whatever it is that helps other people.
Right. And sometimes they say,
life.
Yeah, sometimes the thing isn't the thing and it might lead you to the thing. And,
totally.
It's like people were so just really confused when I closed my photography studio. Like, why? You're so talented. Why would you throw this away? What a waste of all of these years. And and I don't look at it that way. It was really sad at the time, but coming out of that, I've had so many amazing experiences and made so many new friends that would have never happened if I had stayed there, so I would never trade what I have now for having that back.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, people think, oh, when you're not, I'm going to become an entrepreneur because then I'll get to do whatever I want, whenever I want. Yeah, that's just not, it's not the case.
No.
But what we do have is the flexibility of time.
Right.
And so it doesn't mean people are like, oh, I can do whatever I want, whenever I want. But what I mean by that, a little change in that, is that the flexibility of time, like time is so much more important than money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that as an entrepreneur, it doesn't mean that you're, instantly a multimillionaire or anything like that. What it means is that you get to control your time
Right.
in a lot, but not all the time. But still, the business is like always on your mind. You're always pivoting and thinking about things, and sometimes you're having to deal with things late at night or...
Yeah, well, I just had somebody, I was at one of our stores and someone said, oh, it's nice to finally see an owner in here. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I feel like I'm working 7 days a week. You just haven't seen me here, but I'm doing so many things behind the scenes. And even on the days when, like here, if you want to peek at what real entrepreneurship is like, if you think, oh, I can't wait for the day that I can finally hire somebody and then I can just, walk away. And the truth is, on the days when I'm not working at the store, I'm glued to my phone because my team is texting me all day about, hey, this customer's looking for this, or hey, do you have this, or what are we going to do this, or I can't find this. And so I'm like troubleshooting with our team because we have different locations. And so there's always a question or...
And you handle all of our customer service.
Yeah,
So
right.
whenever you do our chat on our website, or
it's all me.
It's my wife, and sometimes we're at home watching American Idol or whatever show, HGTV, and answering messages while we're sitting. So it's not a complaint at all.
No, it's just reality of just because you have an amazing team doesn't mean that you just get to like go do whatever you want. And
I can't imagine doing what we're doing now
without our support,
without the team that we have.
For sure.
I mean, even now, right before we hit record on this podcast, of just telling Grace and Brady that you guys make us look much more beautiful and look a lot smarter.
I think you said more better.
Why'd you have to bring that up? But yeah, we just and so much of running a business or starting a business has to do with creating a clear vision. But one of the things that we wanted to chat with as we kind of open this up is that you have to have a clear vision, but you don't have to have all the pieces worked out.
Right. And also, I think a lot of people think, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I think a lot of people think, well, what am I most passionate about? Then that must be what I have to start a business about. And so, and then
like crazy sirens are going off in my head. I'm like,
no.
Don't do that. Well, not that there's not ever a place that you can do that.
Right.
There's just a lot of questions you have to answer first.
Right. And I like to quote Jennifer Allwood because she always jokes about underwater basket weaving. And that might be your passion, but that sure does not mean that there is a need in your community for underwater basket weaving. And so I think sometimes you have to look and say, it can go both ways. What are you passionate about? Maybe that's a business opportunity, or maybe just because you're passionate about it doesn't mean that that's a good business idea. Some people come to us with some really wild ideas and we're like, oof, good luck with that.
Good luck with that. But I think, so with that, there are a lot of great businesses out there that are targeted towards a very niche market, and they do very, very well. But one of the things that we always talk about when we get questions about starting a business or questions about doing this or doing that is that how can you beta test in a small way before you go big? Because then you really have to discern whether the market's asking for that. It's a great segue for us to talk about how we got into candles. And what we mean by market is just people. What are people asking for? And is that a need that you can... that needs to be met.
Right. Market research sounds really scary and expensive and really big, but really it's looking around your community and saying what's missing and what is a hole that I can fill. And so for us, in our little store, it was all handmade stuff. And I knew two things before I opened. I wanted my store to smell really good. And so I wanted soap and candles, and I wanted it to smell amazing when people walked in. And so I set out to find local makers. I could find a lot of soap, but I couldn't find any candles that were made in the Quad Cities.
Yeah. We found some great ones,
we
but
did.
they were just outside
awesome.
of our
They
area.
were right, and I was really,
Yeah.
really, really wanting to carry local. And so all of a sudden, I didn't even know, but there was a hole in our community for.
So we've told this story a lot. So then we just tried it, and it took a while. And so there's two sides to that. So if you find something that the market's asking for, and you see a hole or a need, the number one thing before you meet that need is you have to ensure that you can produce that product to the level of quality that it's needed. That's why Jennifer and I did it. It was more my nose and my opinion, because I'm very opinionated, and but the deep research that you did on how to make a fantastic candle, because you can have amazing marketing, amazing branding that tells a beautiful story, but then if you bring a horrible product to the market, it falls to pieces.
Well, and I think a lot of that, again, it comes from having previous businesses.
Yeah, and failing.
Well, but also, sometimes you see a business that's super successful, and then you go and you learn that they don't actually need to make money, or they are really good at making everything shiny and beautiful, but they don't actually have any customers.
So I think without going into specifics, you should allude to that story. That's a beautiful story. So we went to New Orleans for a class.
I went to do a mentorship with, so my studio, I did babies first year. So I had niched all the way down to just babies. And so every year in my studio, I would pick an area that I wanted to grow in, and I would choose a mentor and I would focus on that. So one year it was lighting, one year it was money, one year it was, whatever. And so that year I wanted to go learn from the best newborn photographer in the country. And so I went there. And I was like, okay, this is it. I'm going to learn. She's got the most incredible props you've ever seen. She's got, an assistant that's with her all the time. It was everything that I wanted my business to be. And when I got there, I learned that her husband came from a kind of a wealthy family, and they lived solely off of his income. And she did not make any money. Every penny she made, she put it right back into her business. She said, oh, if I want to do something fun, we'll pull a little money out, but I don't need my money. It just goes back to the business. We had put out all this money, and I thought, this is it. This is going to take my business to the next level. And what I learned was I had all the tools to make it to the next level. I had them. Did I learn a few posing tricks? Maybe. I probably could have Googled them and learned just as much. She was phenomenal at what she did, but what it taught me was, again, it just goes back to people sharing their highlight reel. And it really made me start looking at businesses and knowing that there's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes that you're never going to see. And I feel like now I can spot not necessarily a faker, that's not the word, but you can spot a business and know when they're not being genuine or when it's not the full story.
Yeah.
Yeah,
where there's that genuineness of being in the trenches and you're scrapping for,
right.
And really with us, we went into Buttercupp knowing that we had at least a 36-month runway of putting every second and energy into getting this just off the ground.
Right. And so I think sometimes you can look at these really beautiful pictures and you think like, oh my gosh, like they come out with all these new products and whatever. But you have to remember that everybody has a different story and there's nothing wrong with your story.
Yeah.
You just need to live your story. And part of your story is what draws people to you, and people don't want fake. They want genuine,
Yeah.
And so I think that that's one thing that people forget. You can't measure your success to somebody else.
Yeah. And so what's key about that is that, you can glean from other people's wisdom. You can learn from other people, but you have to the greatest thing you can be is just you.
Right.
And all your wins and losses, successes and failure. And the thing about it is our candles are not going to, you don't need your product to be for everybody.
Right.
And Jennifer and I know that we're not going to be for everybody. In fact, when we started this with our colorful patterns and our branding, I can remember us sitting down we use Canva. We're the program Canva. If you don't know what it is, it's amazing. So that's what we use for we do all of our in-house design work. Most of it's Jennifer.
I do have Photoshop, and I have a big Photoshop background, so sometimes I'll rely on that, but most things can be done quickly in Canva.
Yeah. So using that and coming up with our logo and our design and what we wanted it to look like. Like if you look at our labels, in fact, the colors that we use, it's Sherwin-Williams Watery.
Yes,
is
that's
what we
our
use
wall color.
In all of our stores. That's also what's in our house.
Right.
And our house is very colorful. So we wanted our labels to be colorful.
Well, and one thing is, if you're going to pick a saturated market like candles, you better do something different.
Yeah.
The last thing I wanted to do was hop onto Pinterest and think, I can totally do that. Because the truth is, somebody else, you can hop on in 5 minutes and replicate what somebody else is doing.
Totally.
But you can't keep up with them. You're just going to constantly be chasing them and constantly be replicating it. So why bother?
Yeah.
Just be genuine and be yourself. And so one thing that I wanted was something that I would want in my house. I hoped other people would want that, but I just knew that if I didn't create something like that, it wasn't going to be genuine to me and it wasn't going to be exciting. Like I couldn't keep up with that.
Yeah. So we wanted to have obviously a very clear vision for where we wanted to go. And going back to the other conversation, we wanted to have a clear vision for where we're going, a really great product, but then also make sure that it's actually something that the market was asking for. Right. So we did beta tests. We started very small. We farmed them out to our friends. We had people smell our candles. We put them in a couple little places. Then we started dabbling online, and then we got lucky.
We did.
We got lucky. Yeah.
COVID worked in our favor.
For all the sad stories that are out there, there's just as many amazing, which is like anything that happens in life, and that was a springboard. It was a great springboard, and bringing in our candle making and now lotion making was just so. One of the things that developed over time was our purpose as a company, that we wanted to help people. It's on our hearts to help, to add value, as I like to say. But really, we honed our whole purpose statement down to helping people relax and enjoy life. And doing that, we're helping people by giving them something that makes them relax through the scents that we give, through coming in, being able to connect with their family and friends and loved ones, and spend time making a candle and making lotion, and that environment is just...
Well, and I think the joke of it is people always say to us, like, oh my gosh, you guys must love candles. But what they don't know about us sometimes
like
is...
it came out of this... like
this immense love.
Birthing this... These are my candles for the world. Like, that was not the case.
But the truth of it is...
Which is great if that is you.
Absolutely.
We're not saying that's a bad thing, but for us, that was not the case.
That was not the case. So we're the perfect example of you can have passion for something, and for us, we're passionate about being entrepreneurs and having creating. And that's going back to when people said, what a shame, you're wasting your talent. Yeah. To me, when I'm creating, everything feels the same.
Like photography,
yes.
you love babies, obviously, but you love creating the set,
Right.
which so just a backstory, I built all the sets,
Right.
did all the painting, helped with all the colors, but we did that together. So we created together
Right.
there. And then even with construction stuff, you helped me with ideas and paint colors. And then when we brought in our stores, we did those things together. So we're creating together.
And so to my brain, it feels exactly the same. And so I think, so then when people say, oh, you just must love candles. And it's like, well, not really. In fact, you get
I'm
headaches.
the candle lover.
Well, but you get headaches. And
Right.
so for years...
Not from our candles.
No.
Right.
Let me finish here. So for years...
Let's just clarify.
For years, you would get headaches. And so, like, I'm not going to name names, but there's a store at the mall that you can't even go into because it gives you a headache. And so
Yes.
I would be like, oh my gosh, smell this candle. It smells
It's
so
not
good. Please,
Wetzel's
can we get
pretzels.
it? It's not Wetzel's pretzels.
I do not get headaches at Wetzel's pretzels. I love it.
Yeah, I know you. So anyway, we would not even be able to go in there, and I would be like, please smell this candle. It smells so good. And you're like, nope, instant headache. And so what we learned when we had our store, because I was like, nope, we have to have
So
candles.
actually, I did the research before you did the research.
Yeah, that
because
some
I got
candles are
headaches.
bad. Yeah.
So I did do some research.
There you go. So what we learned when we had our store was, hey, these soy candles are not bothering me. And then we did
Yeah.
a little more research into it and realized it's not even just the soy, it's also what's in the oils.
Yeah.
And that is why we do soy and phthalate free, and you don't get headaches.
Cotton wicks. Yeah.
Cotton wicks, no headaches anymore. And so now I burn every candle all over my house because I'm making up for like 25 years of
I
no
know,
candles.
because for 25 years. Wasn't that long.
23.
23. I'll give you 23.
Okay.
That works.
So that is a thing that is kind of funny to us. And so actually,
But the labels
yes.
is the creating.
Yeah, totally.
And the designing.
Well, and we've fallen in love with it now that we know that
Oh,
these don't give
totally.
you a headache. We love having candles in our house. It was never because we didn't want them. We just didn't know that there was a difference. And
a big part of that, too, is the fact that we haven't just stayed with candles, that we
Right.
have room sprays and pet sprays. And now we have some food items like coffee and dips. And
it all comes out of things that we wish we had,
And
and
the
we want to
lotion,
create
yeah.
them in a way that we love them.
Right. So even that's expanded.
Right.
So we say that because you can be passionate about something, and it's good if you can make that into your full-time gig. That's awesome. But to beta test it, start small, start slowly, have a clear plan for your business, know why you're doing it, who you're serving, who's your market, that you're adding value, and you're alleviating pain points, that you're making it easy for people to, like for us, like how do we make it easy for people to relax and enjoy life? That goes into, even when we were bringing out coffee, it's like, okay, who do we team up with to bring out great coffee that helps people when they're waking up in the morning? I imagined our customer of like grinding their coffee and maybe doing a pour over and then lighting a Buttercupp candle and sitting down to
Because
eat.
you're having a whole moment. And then there's me that's just like, I just want my coffee.
Right. Is it minty?
Does it smell good?
Does it smell
taste good?
Can I use half a gallon of cream with my coffee to make it great? That's the conversation in the morning. She's much more practical than me. Yeah, but creating this moment.
Right. But I think to know that you can be passionate about good customer service, quality products, like those are things that you can be passionate about. And then you can say, well, what is the business that incorporates that in? What's the vehicle,
Yeah.
Let's talk about the guy that cleans up after our dogs in the yard. We just hired someone to do
It's an
this.
amazing service.
But like, he can't be passionate about that.
Call of Duty.
I mean, it's amazing.
That's
we love
the name
him.
of the
He
company.
comes on Fridays. It's a brand
great.
new thing that we just started, and it's the best thing in the world.
Yeah.
But he cannot possibly be passionate about that. I don't believe it. But I think
Could
he
be.
probably is
But
passionate.
it's time.
It
He
is.
gets his own time.
But I think he's probably passionate, if
Yeah.
I had to guess, about...
And every day is a crappy day. It's a dad joke. I couldn't help it.
Thank you. That was a good one. But I'm just saying, I think he probably is passionate. He's had very good customer service with us. And
great. He leaves little dog bones.
I know. It's adorable. So,
We'll
like...
have to tag him in this podcast.
We will. And so like, I'm so impressed by his business, but I think that that's an example. Like, I would love to know, you can't possibly be passionate about that, but I bet you are passionate about owning your own business and
Right.
connecting with customers that love dogs as much as you do. Or,
Yeah.
there
And just-
has to be something
and
behind
the
that.
customer service piece, so to like boil this down to these little nuggets, it's like make sure that you have a clear plan for where your business is going. make sure the market's asking for it, put out a great product, ensure that you're offering amazing customer service, and then take baby steps and really just go for it. In fact, today we just had a great compliment come in about one of our employees, which happens to be...
No, we don't use that word. Team members.
Yes, you're right. I was jokingly saying it because it was our son. I felt guilty saying it's one of our amazing team.
Somebody that works here.
Our son, which opened up a door that we have now with another company because his customer service was so fantastic.
They
so
called and gave a compliment. They didn't know he was our son.
They didn't know. Yeah, they didn't know. But so there we go. That's kind of the thoughts.
How to start a business.
So, hey, we would love to hear from you. Leave us comments. We'll be talking and kind of unpacking these ideas as we go. They do correspond kind of with what we touch on our YouTube show, our YouTube channel. So you can leave us comments there. You can leave us comments if you're listening to this on like iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. And we appreciate you because we, again, we're here. This business is here because you love the things we make, and that means the world to us. So thank you.
See you next time.
See you next time.